Imperative running on fourth. Here's the turn for home in the big one. Game on, Dude goes on for home. Game on, Dude, the leader. Will take charge. Mucho Macho Man's done. He can find no more. Game on, Dude, the leader. Will take charge chasing. Game on, Dude leads them. Game on, Dude. Gonna write his way into the history books. Game on, Dude. And Mike Smith have won the Santa Anita Handicap.
Alright, so we are back on Racing Rundown with another episode of A Case for Racing Immortality. I am going to have to once again apologize about this. We did a little bit better with this series than we did last year. I did kind of try to space out these episodes a little bit too much in the beginning. We'll work on that better next year, but we are going to get them all out. And this is the last horse that we have to cover on this series, and we're going to be talking about the other first-time candidate for this year, Game On Dude. Obviously, you remember California getting trained by Bob Baffert. Very similar to the career of another horse who is a Hall of Famer right now, Lava Man. So I'm going to get in and talk a little bit about Game On Dude. I know I talked about it in the Wise Dan episode. If you were around for that one, if you haven't, I would encourage you to go check that out. But I talked about, one of the things about Wise Dan that's kind of ironic that these two are going in the same year is I think Wise Dan is honestly going to affect Game On Dude a lot more than a lot, and definitely more than people would necessarily be led to believe on that, because Wise Dan stopped Game On Dude effectively from winning 2 Eclipse Awards, possibly. I think Wise Dan I don't think Game On Dude gets an Eclipse Award in 2012, but definitely 2013 Wise Dan having the great year that he did prevented Game On Dude from being the champion older male that year, and that was before the discernment was made before champion older male and champion older male dirt horse. So looking at Game On Dude's career, still talking about Wise, still thinking we're talking about Wise Dan. He started early in his 3-year-old year. He did not run as a 2-year-old. Missed the Kentucky Derby, but he did run 4th in the Belmont Stakes. Not many people would think that about Game On Dude, a horse that ran pretty well in the Belmont. He won a stakes race at Lone Star, the Grade 3 Lone Star Derby, ran 4th in the Belmont, and then did not run for the rest of that year, but came back, ran a really good race in Santa Anita Handicap. Obviously, a lot of controversy around that. We talked to Chantel Sutherland last year, so if you're interested on hearing her perspective on that very controversial Santa Anita Handicap, you can go check that out. I know a lot of people believe that he should have been disqualified there, but he ran some nice races off second, lots of second and thirds. Won the Goodwood back when that race was still called the Goodwood, and then the closest he ever came to a Breeders' Cup was that 2011 year when he looked to be home free, but Mike Smith and Drosselmeyer ran him down right at the end of the race. 2012, Game On Dude would win a couple of Grade 2 races, the San Antonio, the Californian, and then he redeemed himself from his second place head loss in the Hollywood Gold Cup from the year before, won that. Then he was second in the Pacific Classic, won the Awesome again, and was 7th in the Breeders' Cup Classic. That was a year, again, highlight. The one bad performance that year was his 12th place finish in the Dubai World Cup, but Game On Dude, again, really consistent horse, ran some nice races, aside from that 7th in the Breeders' Cup Classic, a couple Grade 1 wins, couple Grade 2 wins, and then a Grade 1 win, Grade 1 placed, I should say, in that year. So very successful 2012 year. 2013, though, would be Game On Dude's best year by far. Won the San Antonio, won the Santa Anita Handicap, his second of 3, won the Charlestown Classic back when that race was like a huge thing, and then won the Hollywood Gold Cup, won the Pacific Classic, and with going in the Breeders' Cup Classic, obviously rightfully the favorite, would have been Horse of the Year if he would have been able to win that Breeders' Cup Classic. Unfortunately, he was not able to. He didn't have the best of starts in that race, and that ultimately is what cost him his best chance at winning both an Eclipse Award for Champion Older Horse, and if he would have been able to win that Breeders' Cup Classic, it would have definitely been Horse of the Year. So, and, that's kind of the thing with Game On Dude, but I will finish with the rest of his career. Ran second in the Clark Handicap to finish off that year. Not a bad race. He would win one more Grade 1 race in his career, the Santa Anita Handicap, which was his last win. And he was second in the Charlestown Classic in 2014, then followed up with 4th place finishes in the Gold Cup, and he was 4th in his final race, the Pacific Classic. So, like I mentioned with Game On Dude, very consistent horse. 34 starts, 16 wins, 7 seconds, and a third. He did have some off-the-board performances, most notably in Breeders' Cups, but he only had 2 starts after his 3-year-old year where he was off the board, as in not first, second, third, or fourth. And that was the Dubai World Cup and his 2 Breeders' Cup. Actually, he had 3 races after his 3-year-old season where he was off the board. Dubai World Cup, 2 Breeders' Cups. He was also 7th in the Florida Derby. That was his first start in a stakes race. I'll give him a little bit of allowance there. But, you look at that. Obviously, he had the consistency going for him. He had the longevity. He was running for 2010, 11, 12, 13, and 14, and he was running at high levels in all of those years. The only year he didn't win a grade 1 race was his 3-year-old year. But 4-year-old, 5-year-old, 6-year-old, 7-year-old year, grade 1 winner. And he was a graded stakes winner as a 3-year-old. So graded stakes every single year of his career. Very consistent. Lots of good things to say about Game On Dude. But again, the thing that is going to hold him back is the fact that I don't think that Game On Dude is going to get in this year, and I wouldn't necessarily vote for him this year because he doesn't have that Eclipse Award and he doesn't have that Breeders' Cup win. The Breeders' Cup win, I don't care necessarily about the Eclipse Award as much, but the Breeders' Cup is what really holds him back for me. So I don't think Game On Dude is a Hall of Famer this year. But I will say this. I think Game On Dude down the road is a Hall of Famer, and I want to compare him to another horse. I compared him to Lava Man at the beginning of this episode, and I want to continue that comparison. I would say Lava Man is the bar for a horse like Game On Dude. We've seen a lot of these horses like these Best Pals, these Lava Mans, and these Game On Dudes. These California geldings run really well in California and leave a lot to be desired whenever they leave the state of California. But I think that Game On Dude's a better horse than Lava Man. Lava Man's a Hall of Famer. So I think Game On Dude is a Hall of Famer. I think at some point later on in his career, later on in his times, he's going to be eligible for the ballot. I do think he should be a Hall of Famer, and I think he will get in at some point. Again, like I said, because Lava Man got in, and I personally consider Game On Dude better than Lava Man, and I'm sure there's some people who would agree with me on that. Lava Man, even though Lava Man did have more wins, Game On Dude overall was more consistent. 34 starts, was in the money in 24 of them, and then that also doesn't count a number of 4th place efforts that Game On Dude had. So not a Hall of Famer this year, but certainly a Hall of Famer down the road. So that's going to conclude it for this episode. We will be back with whichever one. These are all just kind of going up at the same time, so I'm not going to say that there will be one specifically next, but I would encourage you, and I would appreciate if you check out some of the other Hall of Fame videos if you haven't checked them out already, and we'll see you in the next one.
And the stage is set for a final 3/16. Game On Dude leads. He's 2.5 in front of Richard's Kid to the outside, who is inching up with every stride. Game On Dude has to stay to the task, and he's doing it. He's 2 lengths in front. Richard's Kid is trying to run him down, but he cannot get by. Game On Dude. Richard's Kid. Game On Dude. Yes.